forward, please. We're going to do the invocation of the Pledge of Allegiance. Do you want to do the invocation? Either one. Pick one.
Gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. As we prepare for this upcoming storm, we just ask you to be with us. Just put a hedge of protection around us. We ask you to just have special protection for our first responders, for those who are out there keeping us safe. Allow our citizens to heed the warnings, and if they need to get out of the way and get to safety, allow that to just penetrate their hearts. Just guide us in everything that we do. Thank you for the option that we have of serving our county. Thank you for the ability that we just gladly take on that job, and just ask you to just protect us in all things we do. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
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 I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Can I get an approval of the agenda, please?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. We're going to go right on into general business. And is there anyone here that wants to speak on behalf of the county after Jen gets done?
We may.
Okay. You ready? All right. Good afternoon, Emergency Management Director Jennifer Nagy. So latest updates on the storm coming at 11 o'clock for us. As of 11 o'clock, we now have Tropical Storm Helene. It is expected to continue to increase. So what we're looking at here for our community is at least a Category 3 landfalling hurricane. That is considered major, anything 3 and above. So for those that are not aware, Category 3 starts around 111 miles per hour. This one is currently projected as of Thursday morning to be at 115 miles per hour. So some things to be aware of. We are always told to plan for a category higher. There's always that potential it could slow down or strengthen a little more than what they're expecting. So that makes us planning for a Category 4 storm. Currently, what we were being told is that our storm surge for our coastline will be 10 to 15 foot of storm surge. That is catastrophic storm surge for our area. So historically, I don't believe that we've gotten over 10 feet. If you think back, if you were here during Michael, that was 10 foot of storm surge. So at 12 feet, just to give you some ideas, at 12 foot of storm surge in St. Mark's, you're looking at historic proportions of flooding. Most of the town of St. Mark's would flood up to the second story of homes and businesses. Water may extend as far inland as Commerce Boulevard, just east of Woodville Highway, and access the area south of Bloxham and east of the river would be completely impassable. For Spring Creek at that area, again, it's historic proportions. Panacea, Ocotney Bay, and Natchez Sands are flooded by water at least 8 feet deep, if not higher. Homes that are not elevated in the areas would be destroyed. Flooding could reach as far north as 98 between Spring Creek and Wakulla Beach Road. South of 98 would all have flooded yards. Homes further south would see obviously more significant flooding at that point. If we flip over to Shell Point at 12 feet, we're looking at Shell Point and Live Oak Island having water 9 foot deep in some areas. Further inland, homes south of 98, again near Wakulla Beach Road, and portions of 98 and Spring Creek Highway would be flooded. That's at 12 feet, and we could be looking at 15. We do expect that those numbers could change. It is dependent on the track, but I don't want everybody to get focused on the track. We've seen some wobbles. And people who watch storms know that we look for trends. So last night we saw a few trends to the east. The west side of the storm is where we want to be. However, I would caution you because we've already seen it trend back the other way. So the 11 o'clock update brought it all the way back and kind of undid all of those wobbles to the east. And what you need to know is this storm extends out 250 miles from the center. So you're talking a 500-mile wide storm. At that point, it doesn't really matter which way it wobbles. We're going to get extreme impacts with the severity and strength of the storm. I would say that storm surge of 10 to 15 feet south of 98 in our county is not survivable. And that's really what our people need to focus on, is that this is not one of those where we ride it out, we stay, we have water under our homes. This is one of those where that type of storm surge will take your life. So other things that we're looking at, again, with that type, 115 miles an hour, that's extreme wind damage, it's catastrophic wind damage, it's lots of trees down, it's widespread power outage, and as we know from storms in this area in the past, you're not talking a day of power outage, you're talking potential weeks or longer of power outage with that kind of damage. Earliest time of arrival right now that we're looking at for tropical storm force winds would be Thursday morning around 8 a.m. Most likely time of arrival is still Thursday afternoon, but the way we do that as planning assumptions is you need to have all of your planning done by 8 a.m. Thursday morning. You're out of time at that point. We will not be opening any shelters in our county historically, and by policy, we do not open shelters if we're expecting anything at 3 or above. Because of the nature of us being a coastal county, having a high probability of storm surge, we don't have the facilities to do so. Questions for me?
Have you decided about Eden Springs yet? And we don't try to make that decision. What is Eden Springs saying?
That decision, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I know, but they understand.
They do. I have not had the ability yet to speak with them. We're working on that. I'd prefer to leave that there at this point.
And do you know when Talcum has said about pulling meters for Shell Point?
They have not given me an update yet. Generally speaking, what Talcum tells me is they base their pulling meters off of our evacuation orders. So once we order an evacuation or a mandatory evacuation of the coast, then they make the decision to pull meters. It's not always done that way, but that's their basic guidance.
Jen, do you think would you suggest a countywide evacuation?
My recommendation at this point would be a minimum of a Zone A evacuation. As I said, I truly believe it's not a survivable situation south of 98. And at this point, based off of the fact that that storm still could very well come into Franklin County, which is a worst case scenario for us, putting us on the worst side of the storm with the potential for 15 foot of higher surge, my recommendation is a countywide evacuation.
Thank you.
Say that again. So countywide evacuation is your recommendation now, or if things?
Now.
And
Simply because I know that there are other counties doing it. The roads get congested. People have to have time to travel to where they need to go and get their families there safely. I don't feel that it's safe to wait for further updates.
It's already starting at our Circle K.
Yes, sir.
We're getting Franklin and Gulf County folks.
Yes, sir. They've already done their mandatories.
Yep.
and high tide's about 9 a.m. Thursday, and if it hits Thursday morning, that's the worst case scenario.
Yes, sir. And we could see water start to rise. I'm waiting on that update for National Weather Service. They really were supposed to have it to me, but they're trying to get it from multiple counties, understandably. And so they're trying to get me some better timing on the surges because sometimes that surge comes ahead of. So I said that 8 a.m. is tropical storm force winds. That's not necessarily when we'll see the water start to rise. Depending on how it pushes, because it's so big, we could see water start rising Wednesday night.
I remember that one storm where it all sucked out of here.
Yes.
Came back in later.
Yeah, that's dependent on how the storm spins. If it were to take a sharp eastward turn, like into Tampa, sometimes it pulls our water out, but they're not seeing that with this one.
So with regard to the number of briefings that you have between now and tomorrow, what time do you think that a mandatory evacuation should begin? And I'm not there trying to put you on the spot. I know that you don't have any.
Yeah, so I will be frank and honest. I am waiting on some information on where we can send our folks as far as sheltering. Obviously, there's some public responsibility there, right? If you can get a hotel, if you can stay with friends or family out of the area, that's always a better option than any shelter. Shelters are shelters of last resort, no matter what. They're usually schoolrooms. They're not comfortable. They're not great. However, that being said, we do like to give our citizens options of where those shelters are going to be available. And because of the magnitude of this storm, we're in a little bit of an unusual situation where historically we send our people, we tell them there's shelters available in Leon County, and I'm not sure that's going to be the case because Leon's under the same concern that we are right now. The state is working that situation, and they're supposed to be giving us an update on where we can send our people.
We just got a hit that Madison County was opening one, so. Oh, that could be the worst place to send them.
I was going to say.
It just come across my phone is what I'm saying, that they were opening a shelter.
I don't think we have much of a choice but to order a mandatory, considered because of, you always plan for the worst. And just because it's a 3, you plan for a 4.
That is correct.
So I don't think we have much of a choice to do it. I mean, I know that we're not going to go force people out of their homes, but I think on a liability side and stress to people that they need to get out, because I don't think we're going to dodge this one from everything I'm seeing. And I hope we do. I'd rather be safe than sorry. People can get mad, but I don't want to get people complacent because the last few times, and that's people are already saying, I'm not leaving. I'm like, well, you need to leave.
I would stress that at this point, again, because of the size of this one,
Yeah.
even if it does what it's done in the past and it does turn back to the east, that helps, but we're still going to get something significant.
And it can still hit Franklin?
So based on the data and in your institutional knowledge, I mean, I feel like we should do a mandatory as well.
Questions for me?
What was your next update? I'm sorry.
That's okay. Nope, you're fine. So I'll be doing our county briefing at 2, and we'll have a webinar at 2:30. However, the next official, they do intermediate advisories, so the Hurricane Center will do an intermediate advisory at 2, but they don't do track changes at 2. Their next really big update will be at 5 p.m. tonight.
So and again, all the uncertainties, what time do you think tomorrow that they'll say, okay, this is definitely where the storm's going to go?
They're already pretty much saying that.
Okay.
So again, we tell you not to, and I don't even think they put it out there anymore. We have access to it. They used to put a skinny track, so to speak, right? You'd see the line of the track. They publicly stopped putting that out there because people focused on it. As long as you're in the cone, and I can tell you we are beyond confident that we're going to stay in the cone. The skinny track is shifting a little bit left and right, east and west, but we have stayed in the cone. We are going to get something.
All right. Good.
I think also the determination on when to call the evacuation will be when do you expect winds or weather to actually start here? Based on the current track.
Right. So my recommendation is that you put this information out to the public as soon as possible as far as an evacuation order is in effect so that they have time to prepare. And the bottom line there is you need to be out of here no later than Thursday morning at 8 a.m. when that earliest time of arrival of winds is.
Okay.
So to try to give some sense of comfort, I think that what I hear you saying is that you are working on a shelter situation, and would it be possible to coordinate her answers from a shelter situation with, that would be when the mandatory evacuation started so that people are not panicking? Or you don't know that?
No, the problem is she's waiting on the state.
That is correct. I am working on a state.
Encourage people to try to make their own arrangements
Yeah.
and don't wait to be stuck on the side of the road somewhere.
No, that's what's happening now. It's bumper to bumper going north.
And
I would not wait. I mean,
Jen had some choice words with the state.
Yes, she did.
So her frustrations were duly there, but at the end of the day, it's out of her control.
And we appreciate you. We kind of appreciate Lucy, but don't tell her.
So is the sheriff's office going to go hit, obviously, everything south of 98, Shell Point, Clock Bay, just,
I think we're doing right evacuation.
I understand that, but I'm talking.
we will work on our operational plans after this. My operations chief is back in the EOC. We already have planned to meet up after this to decide operationally how we are going to attack that. I can tell you that my intent at a minimum is to send out an iPause message because I have the ability to do that. That's an emergency alert system message, so it will hit every cell phone in the entire county telling them that we ordered that evacuation based off of when y'all would like me to put that out.
You said that 10 to 12 foot you think is unsurvivable for anyone below 98,
12 foot, yes.
and water is likely, you said, as far as Commerce Boulevard up Woodville Highway?
They're saying 12 to 15 feet, and so we talk institutional knowledge and worst case scenarios, right? Like what I read you is our historical, what we look at 12 feet, because we've not historically had above that. I can't really give you those reference points, but I can tell you that I've ran storm surge models for worst case scenarios in our county. So not implying that this is going to happen. I have not seen those models. I'm waiting for them for the National Weather Service. But if I run a Category 4, Category 5 worst case scenario, it can push water up Tram Road into Leon County. And looking at the models that we have now, and Kenzie, can you pull those up? So this is just a kind of a basic model that's available to the public on the National Hurricane Center website. If you look at that one, anything in the red is 9 foot or above. Orange is 6 foot or above, yellow is 3 foot, and blue is anything above a foot. It's hard to get down to the granular level on that, but Wakulla Springs is kind of noted up there on the screen. Part of what people need to realize is this level of surge and wind will push it up the rivers. So therefore, it's not just coastline. You'll see that flooding outside of the river ranks where it wouldn't normally. Then you add to that the potential for us to get rainfall. Granted, rainfall's not big with this one. They're talking 4 to 8 inches, but the potential for 12 inches at places. So you have both rain coming into the river and surge being pushed up the river.
With 100+ mile an hour wind on top of it.
Yeah.
Sounds already soaking wet.
Yeah, and our grounds are saturated. Yeah.
I remember Dennis had, St. Mark Rise was underwater completely.
And Dennis was less than 12 feet.
Yeah.
Dennis was less than 10 feet.
No more questions.
Anybody have any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you. Any constitutionalists want to come and brief us on anything that's going on in their world? Craig?
Not so much in my world, but
In our world, I should say.
Your world,
Okay.
financially, where we stand. So anticipating some worst-case scenarios, I start thinking about cash flow, cash, and FEMA reimbursements. And so I want to update you. We have $16,400,000 and some change as of this morning in our banks. That's every penny we could get our hands on if we needed to right now. Sounds like a whole lot of money until you start realizing that to operate every one of our operations costs just under $6 million a month. So you have 2.8 months of operations available to you. In September, it's the lowest month of our cash. And so the storm's hitting at the worst time of the year. And so you might want to consider, it's only $2 million, but it's the $2 million we could also get our hands on. You approving, David and I discussing whether or not we would get to draw a $2 million line of credit. We've never used it before, and so until, I don't know when your next meeting is, but we have to have your authorization and the minutes from the meeting to be able to show the bank to pull that $2 million. We wouldn't do so until probably Monday or Tuesday, depending on the storm effects, and if David's call is we don't need it, we determine we don't need it, even after you've authorized it, we wouldn't pull it. But we just want to have that ability to do so, just in case. Because your tax dollars are not going to start coming in until mid-November. And so you've got just under 3 months of operating. You've got to get through September and October and part of November. And so things could get really tight if we have to start handing out lots of FEMA dollars.
I make a motion that we go ahead and do it. We don't need it, but.
I second.
They don't, because our next meeting not until the 7th.
You don't think we should just go ahead and do it now instead of waiting until Monday?
I would authorize it now. I wouldn't pull it until Monday or Tuesday. I wouldn't withdraw it.
Yeah, well, we'll wait and see. Yeah.
My motion stands.
So you have the option.
My second stand, so we're good.
Any more discussion?
No, ma'am.
Evan, how are we going to handle this? So just a head nod, all in favor, aye?
Favor aye.
Yes, I would vote on it. Thank you.
Thank you, you're welcome. Superintendent-elect, do you want to say anything about the wonderful school system and how prepared you are, or we just trust that you got it under
I want to
control?
take care of this vote real quick.
I thought I said.
No.
Okay, well, let's take care of that vote before we call you up, Rick. I'm already ready to get back to the company chairs or tens. All in favor? Aye. Aye, okay, passed unanimously. You up? No? Okay.
Can I say something real quick?
Sure.
Do we need to make a motion for the mandatory evacuation?
Yes, you will.
Okay.
We can let you talk.
Superintendent-elect Rick Meyer, for those of you that don't know me, we just appreciate the partnership with the county, with emergency management and the sheriff's department. They've been great friends as we've moved through this process. We did make the announcement about an hour and a half ago to close all of our offices beginning tomorrow. All extracurricular activities are canceled on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday as well. And then we'll wait to see whatever impacts come our way. We're not opening the shelters. I'm sure Jen, talked about that a lot before I got in here. But we stand ready to support the county, to support you guys, and whatever it is that we can do as more people come in. But right now is the time to be safe, so we're sending all of our people away.
Great.
There you go.
Thank you.
Nobody else here, so you don't have to rescue us. So I told you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Lisa, you have anything you want to say? Anybody from the property appraiser's office? Carry on. We're going to get to the motion and the second of the mandatory evacuation. I promise that's what we're here for. Anybody over here have anything to say? I know you do.
I do after y'all vote.
Okay.
Okay, well, I make the motion for mandatory evacuation.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Carrying on, sir.
Thank you. Jen, can you please inform the public as to a 10 to 12 foot surge, how quick that surge will come up, so those that are out driving in the storm and before the storm and go to Natchez Sands and say, wow, there's about 2 foot of water here, how quick they will be inundated and washed away?
Yes, sir. That happens very quickly in our county. So really, we have those calls come into the sheriff's office on a normal high tide day. We've actually had one very recently where someone did that. So it's not a thing. People definitely need to stay away from our beaches at this point, because as you go down there, a lot of the ways are they are the first roads to go under, right? Like the water comes in so quickly that you can, looks like the road is open, you drive down there and then you literally can't turn around and drive back up because it's come up that fast. It's not a safe thing to do. It puts your life in danger if you drive down to our beaches in this kind of situation. It also, the flip to that and the good part to that is it also recedes fairly rapidly, but it takes a lot of stuff with it. So that water rises incredibly fast. If you've never gone online and watched a storm surge video, there's tons of YouTube videos out there. I would suggest that you go and watch some of the recent hurricanes that have hit other parts of our state and how fast that water rises and the damage it does. It carries a lot of weight and mass destruction with it when it comes in like that.
And also, can you remind the public as to when we cut off, we cease emergency operations in a storm, as far as
Yes,
rescue?
yes. So that's the other part to that is once our winds reach 35 miles per hour and when they're actually in the middle of being hit by the storm, it is too late for us to come rescue you. And that is a very hard thing for my first responders. It is a very hard thing for my dispatchers, because those calls inevitably come in where people who do not leave then call 911 when the water starts to rise. And at that point, we cannot come to get you. Once that wind speed is 35 miles an hour and that water is rising, it is no longer safe for us to put our first responder vehicles out there. A lot of them are high-profile vehicles, and they just cannot drive in that type of wind.
So therefore, the public needs to understand that at 35 miles an hour, if you haven't evacuated, you're there. If you're stuck in the middle of a storm surge, you're there, and there's more than likely no one's going to come and help you.
Yes, sir, and I would add to that because it's the thing that people don't think about. It's the regular stuff that we can't respond to either, right? Like, so even if you're not south of 98 and you're thinking to yourself that you're in a safe home, but you have a family member that maybe has some type of medical issues, if your family member is having a heart attack in the middle of that storm, that ambulance isn't coming. So you need to take that stuff into consideration as well when you choose whether to stay or go. Even if you're in a safe home, we can't come when that reaches a certain point until, now we'll take your information and we'll get there as soon as the roads are clear enough, but it could be a long wait.
Yeah, because you're asking, at that point, you're asking for other people to put their lives on the line to save you because you didn't leave. Right? Yes, I'm sorry.
Do you know how high the surge was for Michael?
10 foot.
10 foot.
Yes, sir.
If I remember correctly, I think it was 2 feet deep in Posey's restaurant. So we get 5 feet above that, it's going to be to the ceiling.
Yes, sir.
And speaking of that, our plan is right now is Wednesday afternoon, we'll be shutting down the sewer in all of Panacea, as well as Oclatney Bay. So those that haven't evacuated, you need to hold it until Thursday or Friday or something like that. So we can't. All our stuff we got to get the power off of it. And I would imagine that Talcon will do the same thing for everything south of 98 and do their usual thing, and that'll probably be Wednesday afternoon. And then Wednesday night, they'll be cutting that off, I would think. I would go ahead and plan for that if I'm in the public.
Closing county offices.
County offices will be closed probably Friday morning. I'm just kidding. No, we'll be closing county offices. More than likely, we'll go to a skeleton crew come about 12 o'clock, but then it will work till normal 5 o'clock, and then we'll be closed Thursday.
Tomorrow, you're closing at noon.
Yeah, tomorrow.
Or ish.
Ish, yes, ish. We're here for the public, right?
Right.
So we have to stay as long as we can. But, make sure you stay the briefings with, Jan, and, I know people love Facebook, but, watch what we put out, what the sheriff puts out, and we copy what the sheriff puts out. Make sure you use that information, not, some other person. There's all kind of stuff out there, so.
What can our county buildings withstand? Sheriff's office, fire station?
I think you're a 3 there at the sheriff's office. Yeah. We're a 3 at the fire station. And that's about it. We don't have anything. Now, the new EOC building we're going to be building, you can go to 5, or you can go to wastewater treatment plant. We got probably a 7 or 8 down there. That's where I'm going to go for the nuclear attack. That's where I'm going. But no, that's the best we got is a 3. And we'll have, after the storm, if we get hit really hard as well, we'll have some post shelters that we'll be putting up, and Jen's already been working on planning all of that, and called in water and all the things, and everything's ahead, and her and the sheriff's office have done a really good job of setting the table so that after the storm, we can recover quickly.
Any more questions or discussion? Sheriff Miller, I'm so sorry, I didn't even, because we know you are, all right. Any other thoughts, comments? Kenzie's got a busy few days, but he always does, don't you?
More than likely, also, let me say this, Race Pro probably won't pick your trash up Thursday. But we already got those calls, so.
Okay, who's gonna follow that one?
Motion to
Do you want a motion to adjourn? Do you have a motion to adjourn? Okay, thank you.
Y'all be safe.